Hey everyone, so if you have been on the internet for any length of time, then you are no doubt aware of the iceberg charts that have been popping up for a while now, past couple of years. But if you are somehow unaware, the iceberg chart is basically just a way of spreading information about a given topic from like most known to least known. So the most known stuff would be at the tip of the iceberg, and as you get further down, you get into stuff like conspiracy theories and all that. Anyway, today I am doing the Morbius iceberg. So let's get right into it. Starting off with number one, Morbius is the greatest movie of all time. There's nothing really to add on to this, it's just a statement of fact. Morbius is the greatest movie of all time. Alright, moving on to the next one. Hashtag Morbius sweep. This was the number one trend on Twitter for 8 months, and it's still the number one trend on Twitter because Morbius is still sweeping all of these theaters. It was sweeping the theaters before it was even in theaters. That's how good this movie was. Alright, moving on to number three. It's Morbin time. This is the iconic catchphrase that Morbius uses before he morbs people throughout this movie. It is really, really inspiring. Alright, moving on to the second layer of this iceberg. Spider-Man villain. This is referring to the fact that Morbius is a Spider-Man villain, although I think that Spider-Man is really the villain in the story and that Morbius is really the hero. So this one's kind of up to interpretation. It's kind of up to interpretation. Alright. Next we have the Vulture Scene. This is referring to the after credit scene in which Vulture and Morbius were like, "Hey yo, we're gonna go morb Spider-Man." Alright, pretty cool. And up next we have more billion dollars. This is referring to the fact that Morbius grossed through $252 more billion in the theaters, making it easily the greatest movie in the box office history. Alright, up next we have Morbius 247. This is referring to a Twitch account that was doing God's work and streaming Morbius 24/7 until it got shut down by Twitch mods right after the movie ended. Therefore, a Twitch mod sat through Morbius, the entire movie, and then they decided they're going to kill the joy for everybody else. Alright, up next we have Jared Leto pushed in a wheelchair. This is referring to the fact that Jared Leto got so into character throughout this movie that he refused to walk to the bathroom throughout filming without a cane, but he wanted to make it extra realistic. So as filming went on, he made his injury gradually worse and worse until eventually the film crew got so tired of his bathroom breaks taking 37 minutes that they decided to just get him a wheelchair and wheel him to the bathroom. Alright, on to layer number 4. Pokemon influence. This is referring to the fact that Pokemon was directly influenced by Morbius. Up next we have Morpeds. This is referring to the Morbius fan base. I'm not sure why it's this low down on the iceberg, but if you watched Morbius, you're a Morped. Up next we have the Morbius Theater Cup. This is referring to fine china. Alright, now on to layer number 5. Martin Scorsese. This is referring to the fact that he wanted to direct Morbius. However, he was not talented enough to direct Morbius. Alright, up next we have the Fubuki interview. This is referring to the fact that Jared Leto was interviewed by Fubuki. Up next we have Milo was originally Larius Crown. This is referring to the fact that Milo was originally Larius Crown. Alright, now on to layer number 6. The Daily Bugle promotional TikTok was set to appear in Blade in 1998. This is pretty self-explanatory. TikTok has been around since 1929. Therefore, there is no reason it wouldn't have appeared in Blade in 1998, obviously. On to layer number 7. Vampire tails. This is referring to the fact that vampires have tails and Morbius is a vampire. Up next we have Legion of Monsters. This is referring to the fact that Morbius is part of a legion of monsters. On to the final layer of this Morbius iceberg. and I'm going Morbius. Morbius 2. Do not research. Alright, so I went ahead and researched this, and I do not advise you do it. But essentially, there is this weird phenomenon going on. I think they're gonna do a Morbius 2. However, Morbius was so perfect that it will be breaking box office records forever. It is never going to leave theaters, therefore, why would they make Morbius 2? You can't improve upon what's already perfect. Alright, and for the final thing on this iceberg, this one is really a thinker, and this one is kind of sad, honestly. Morbius isn't actually good. Now, believe it or not, there is a very, very, very small minority of people on this earth who believe that Morbius is an overrated movie. They don't believe it's the best movie ever made. In fact, they believe there are movies better than Morbius. In fact, they would go even further as to say that Morbius is not even a good movie at all. In fact, they'd say it's a bad movie. Like, they feel like they've been morbed after they watch Morbius. They think it's so bad, but I don't even think that these people actually exist. I think they're just trying to be edgy on Twitter. But there are people who believe Morbius is not good. So, this is making me sad, so I'm just gonna end it here. Morbius is the greatest movie of all time. I think it's fitting that we start off with that and we end with Morbius isn't actually good. Goodbye.